The wind howled across the desert plains, carrying with it the dry whispers of ancient voices buried in the sand. A caravan of shadows moved under the silvered moonlight, horse hooves pounding against the hardened earth. In the middle of that caravan rode a man who had no idea what fate awaited him. His name was Ethan Cole, a wandering cowboy, a drifter running from the echoes of his past. The night was thick with tension as Ethan's horse stumbled upon a narrow canyon that led into Apache territory. Stories had long been told of warriors who could vanish into the cliffs, spirits that could summon arrows from the air, and chiefs whose commands carried the weight of thunder. Ethan knew he should have turned back, but his heart carried him forward, driven by something he could not name. Perhaps it was destiny. Perhaps it was doom. From the ridges above, a group of Apache warriors watched in silence. Their eyes glimmered with firelight, their bows poised but not drawn. Ethan was not an intruder. He was something else. The chief had spoken of a stranger who would arrive under the moon, one chosen by the spirits. A man who would not come by invitation, but by fate. The prophecy whispered among the tribe had kept the women restless for weeks. When Ethan entered the heart of the Apache camp, the fire pits glowed brighter, casting fierce shadows across the faces of warriors, elders, and women. The chief, a towering figure with eyes dark as storm clouds, stepped forward. His voice was thunder, but his words flowed like an oath. "You will not leave," the chief declared, "for the spirits have spoken. You are here to be their husband." The word struck Ethan harder than any bullet. Before he could protest, the chief's daughters emerged from the crowd, 3 women unlike any he had ever seen. The first carried herself like a warrior queen, her gaze sharp and unyielding. The second glowed with a mysterious softness, her beauty veiled in silence. The third radiated fire, her every movement filled with dangerous passion. Together they embodied strength, mystery, and desire, an unholy trinity of fate. Ethan's pulse quickened. The camp erupted in chants, the drums of destiny beating louder. He was no longer a drifter. He was trapped in a story older than himself, bound by ritual, by fire, and by blood. The first night was not of rest but of initiation. Ethan was dragged before the sacred circle, surrounded by flames, as the 3 women watched. Their eyes did not see him as a stranger but as something already theirs. Each carried a secret, each demanded his loyalty, and each would test his soul in ways he could not yet imagine. And so began the unraveling of Ethan's fate. Days bled into nights, nights into weeks. Ethan's life among the Apache was no longer one of survival but of tests. Each wife-to-be demanded something from him, a trial that would prove his worth. The chief remained silent, watching from the shadows, allowing the destiny of his daughters to unfold like the turning of sacred pages. The eldest daughter, Ayasha, was a warrior, fearless and unbending. Her trial for Ethan was strength. She led him deep into the hunting grounds, where mountain lions prowled and the air reeked of danger. She demanded that he hunt not for food, but for courage. When a cougar lunged from the cliffs, Ethan's instincts flared. With rifle in hand and fear pounding in his chest, he fought not just for his life, but for Ayasha's respect. His victory was not clean. His wounds were deep, but in his survival, Ayasha saw a man worthy of her fire. The second daughter, Nayeli, was different. Her beauty was of the silent kind, her strength hidden beneath the surface of her soft words and haunting eyes. Her trial was of patience and understanding. She led Ethan into the sacred caves where the tribe's spirits were said to dwell. There, surrounded by paintings of warriors long dead, she demanded silence. For days, Ethan remained with her, enduring hunger and thirst, listening to the whispers of the cave. In the stillness, he began to hear more than silence. He heard the beating of her heart, the rhythm of her soul, and in that connection, he passed her test. The youngest daughter, Zitkala, was fire incarnate. She demanded passion not of the body but of the spirit. Her trial was the most dangerous of all. She led Ethan into enemy lands where rival tribes lurked and betrayal was a breath away. She demanded that he fight not with weapons, but with conviction, that he declare himself not as a wanderer, but as hers. In the chaos of a rival ambush, Ethan stood his ground, declaring his loyalty to Zitkala before all. His courage under fire sealed his bond with her, but also sparked jealousy in her sisters. As the trials ended, Ethan was no longer just an outsider. He was bound to 3 women, each of whom claimed his heart in different ways. But love does not divide easily. It consumes, it burns, and it destroys. The nights in the camp grew colder. Whispers followed Ethan wherever he went. The women began to fight not with words but with fire in their eyes. Ayasha demanded his strength, Nayeli his soul, Zitkala his passion. The prophecy had not spoken of harmony. It had spoken of conflict. The man chosen by fate was never meant for peace but for chaos. And Ethan began to realize, being their husband was not a gift, it was a curse. The chief gathered the tribe under the crimson sky of dusk. The prophecy had reached its final chapter, and the spirits demanded a sacrifice. Ethan stood in the center of the sacred circle once again, the three women surrounding him, their faces torn between love and rage. The drums beat louder, echoing like war cries across the valley. Each woman's hand touched Ethan, but none with tenderness. Their touch was claim, their touch was power, their touch was war. Ayasha demanded that Ethan choose her, for strength was eternal. Nayeli whispered that his soul was already hers, bound in silence. Zitkala screamed that passion was fire, and fire could not be denied. Ethan's heart tore in three directions. No man could serve three masters, no soul could love three women with equal fire. Yet the prophecy demanded he be their husband, not by choice, but by chains forged in fate. The tribe prepared for the final ritual. Flames roared high, shadows danced like demons, and the chief's voice thundered. The spirits have chosen. One man, three wives, one destiny. Tonight the curse is fulfilled. But destiny is a cruel thing. The prophecy did not promise love. It promised blood. As the ritual began, the three women turned not against Ethan but against one another. The circle of love became a battlefield of betrayal. Ayasha's blade flashed in the firelight. Nayeli's silence became a scream of vengeance. Zitkala's passion burned into fury. Ethan stood at the center, powerless, as the women fought not for his love, but for his life. When the blood fell upon the sacred fire, the spirits roared. The flames turned black, the sky split with thunder, and Ethan realized the truth. He was never meant to be their husband. He was meant to be their sacrifice. The camp erupted in chaos. Warriors clashed, women wailed, and the chief fell to his knees. Ethan's fate was sealed in fire and blood. The three wives who were to love him became the three curses that doomed him. His name would be carved into the rocks of the canyon, not as a husband, but as a warning. And so the story ended not with love, not with triumph, but with a curse whispered across the desert winds. You are going to be their husband. The words lingered like a ghost, a promise and a threat echoing forever in the land of the Apache.